Whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Howie Laviner. I'm the chair of the Matthews Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Advisory Committee. I realize that's a mouthful, and I apologize for sharing that with you. I'm going to go through a little bit of how the meeting today is going to run. I just want to make a few comments at the get-go. First, obviously, this is not a pro-veterans or anti-veterans issue. It's not a pro-history or anti-history issue. People of good faith may well have reasonable differences of opinion on the petition to rename Stumptown Park. I'm going to ask the speakers for decency and language and civility when commenting. If for any reason you go over the line, I will give you a warning. You'll be allowed to continue. And if it happens again, you'll be cut off. I don't anticipate that's going to happen. Just wanted to say it to be on the safe side. I'd like to introduce first the members of our committee, and I'll go to them in the order that they're on my screen. Sandy Lee, you want to just raise your hand, Sandy? And Tara Van Genderen, Susan Chambers, John Gatlin, who's hiding, but he's here, and Scott Rosemeisel.
Here.
There's Scott. And we're also joined today by Doug Rose, who's chairman of the Matthews Veteran Advisory Committee. And Doug, if you'd like to introduce yourself and members of your committee, feel free to do so.
I will. Thank you very much for the invite. Currently, the MVAC, which is short for the Matthews Veterans Advisory Committee, has 10 members. We're 10 members strong. I just recently took over from Tom Cannon. Also, to let you know, Larry Stawicki is our co-chair for this committee. We also have our treasurer, Jack Santanilio. I can't pronounce his probably last name correctly, but Jack, everybody knows Jack. And then also we have our secretary, which is Charlene Thompson, and then with the rest of our members. And I'll have some other comments a little bit later. So thank you.
Okay, I note from my committee, Debbie Chopas, Ryan McLatchy, and Harvey Boyd have not yet joined in. They may very well join us during the meeting. The meeting is going to run basically this way. First, I'm going to just explain to you the general rules for the meeting. Then I'm going to turn it over to our town manager, Hazen Blodgett, who's going to explain to you a little bit about the path to get to this meeting, naming facilities, and the petition itself. Doug Rose is going to then speak on behalf of the Matthews Veterans Advisory Committee. Corey King, Director of Parks and Rec. Okay, Corey, hand up in the air if you would. Okay. Is going to talk to them about Stumptown Park future plans and the position of the Parks and Recreation staff in terms of the renaming petition. Then we're going to allow Mark Tofano, who's a petitioner, the person who asked for this name change, to speak. After that, we will move to public comment on a list that's already been done. The rules for the meeting are pretty simple. It's a Zoom format, as you probably have all been very much familiar with. Lori Canapino, our town clerk, will make you visible when it's your turn to speak. If you haven't done this before, you will get a countdown clock on your screen. You will be given a 4-minute time limit, and when the time limit goes off, you will be cut off. Trust me, I learned the hard way. We'd ask the speakers if they would be kind enough to give their name and residence address. You don't have to. It just helps us to know if you're from town, where you're from town, whatever. If anyone is unable to share their comments during the meeting, you can submit written comments at matthewsnc.gov/stumptown through January 30th, 2021. Or you can email them to Corey King, and we'll give you that info a little bit later. When the meeting ends, when the public comment has been completed, we're not going to express any conclusions tonight, about what we think about this or what we plan on doing. The next step for my committee will be the next Parks and Rec Advisory Committee meeting, which is February 10th at 6:30, also by Zoom, where my committee will discuss the input they've gotten from the public here and in writing. And at that point, we will make a recommendation to town council. Town council at some point will put it on their meeting agenda, and they will make the ultimate decision. I assume that Doug Rose and the Matthews Veterans Advisory Committee are going to do something pretty much similar. Is that right, Doug?
Oh, that is correct.
And when is your next meeting, by the way?
So our meetings are the first Wednesdays of the month. And again, with Corey and you guys, we're going to go ahead and hopefully make this a joint recommendation to the town of Matthews instead of just one committee.
Okay, I hope that's covered everything and I haven't created too much confusion. At this point, I'd like to turn everything over to Hazen Blodgett, our town manager.
Thanks, Howie. My name's Hazen Blodgett. I'm the town manager in Matthews and proud to be in this role for a number of years. So my job or role is really just to kind of give a little bit of history. I'm sure there's a too, but the summer and fall, the American Legion Post 235 started on a program to refurbish and improve the veterans area in Stumptown Park. And they did a great job, Herculean task, and they did it. And the town's really grateful for that. And then this fall, I don't know exactly the date, but there began to be a discussion about changing the name of Stumptown Park to Stumptown Veterans Memorial Park. And members of the board or some members of the board were aware of that. I assume the whole board was. And however, the town does have a renaming facility policy, really to address situations like this. And if anybody wants a copy of it, we're happy to share a copy. It's pretty straightforward. And it does set out, it's pretty prescriptive. It sets out the petition and what % of the population should have it and make sure it's legible and all that stuff. But it also has a statement in there that says the town board doesn't have to abide by the petition. So it doesn't have to do everything that's in the policy, doesn't have to be cross every I and cross every T and dot every I. And I think very often, it really is smart going forward to figure out a role for, particularly a lot of these are parks, that Parks and Recreation Advisory Board is a natural group to kind of look at this, vet it, think about it, discuss it amongst themselves, and then advise the town board. So if anybody gets a copy of the policy, they're welcome. Just realize what it says in there is the town board does not have to follow the policy. They could simply make a motion and rename any park or name a park. And in this case, they want to get the Parks and Recreation's Advisory Committee's input. I think Howie's spot on about in February, y'all are going to discuss it. Hopefully there's some kind of consensus on name. And then soon after that, maybe the second meeting in February or early in March, the town board can discuss it and then make a final decision on that. So I'm happy to answer any questions or clarify anything that you guys may need.
All right, thank you, Hazen. Doug, would you like to make a statement about where the Matthews Veterans Advisory Committee is right now on this?
I would. Thank you again. So first of all, I'd like to reintroduce myself. My name is Doug Rose. I'm a fairly new resident of Matthews for just over a year. I am the new chairperson of the Matthews Veterans Advisory Committee, and I am honored along with Larry Stomwicki, the vice chairperson, to lead this committee in representing the voice, representing and voicing matters of interest from our service members, veterans, and families to the town of Matthews. With regards to the renaming of Stumptown Park to Stumptown Veterans Memorial Park, we have received many emails supporting the request and the name change. MVAC invited the Parks and Recreations Department to our December meeting last December. Corey King and Howie Laverin briefed us on the history of Stumptown Park. We also discussed the renaming of the park, and Corey enlightened us that not only was there a proposal to rename the park, but there were also plans to consider other locations for a Veterans Memorial Park. So tonight we are here together with the Parks and Recs to listen to your voices. Please know that MVAC is not the group that will make the decision to rename the park or decide on another location. However, we will, in collaboration with the Parks, Recreations, and Cultural Resource Committee, take your input and forward our recommendation to Mayor John Higdon and the town of Matthews. So whatever the outcome, I would first like to express MVAC's appreciations to the Hooks or an American Legion Post 235 for their Herculean effort in restoring the Matthews Veterans Memorial Park at Stumptown Park. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Corey, you want to address a little bit about Stumptown Park and Park and Rec's position on the name change petition?
Yes, thank you. So Stumptown Park, right? How did the park get its name? Some of you may know, early 1800s, this area was primarily woodlands. There was early settlers, they were farmers, and of course they cleared the land to grow their cash crops. In this case, mainly it was cotton. And Stumptown became the nickname for the community, as you can presume why. In the clearing, as I understand it, it was a little easier to clear the trees than it was to clear the stumps. Fast forward, Matthews was incorporated in 1879. So then, fast forward again, 1989. This was a time when the town felt as though many of the historic buildings and amenities were being lost. Cotton gin was one example. There was a movement to save the history of Matthews, to translate it into saving buildings like the Reed House, the Matthews Community Center, and some other structures. Again, 1989, there was a proposal on the table for a shopping center, much like Griffin Square, what's right directly across the street from Stumptown. Town board negotiated with the owner and they purchased the property for a park. And Stumptown Park was selected as a name to honor the town's earlier name and history of this community. And Lori, if you could bring the slide forward.
Can you all see that?
Can you make it, let's go in presentation. There we go. So this is Stumptown Park today. See the footprint, it is roughly 2.3 acres, I think it is. Incorporates much of that block, except for a few spaces. And there are plans to expand Stumptown Park, if you could advance. Hopefully, it will be the entire block of what we see, save for the businesses that front Trade Street and potentially one other space. But you can see, ideally, the goal is to incorporate or to have Stumptown Park incorporate that entire block. Can you move on to the next slide? This was a presentation we shared with the town board in 2018. Did some research, what does a successful downtown park look like? A couple of themes that, again, traditionally, these are what translates into successful downtown parks. People-centric, entertainment, rest, relaxation. You see some large, well, in this example, a fountain, but things that really anchor the park, creating that opportunity for large gatherings, but then also quiet at times where you can just come and enjoy certainly a picnic. You can advance. And some other things that draw people into a downtown park: art and history, education, some attractive features, and then being close to forms of transportation. Well, this is an aerial of what an expanded Stumptown Park could look like. These are some conceptual designs, again, created in 2018. I'll say there was some love by the town board on this design. Certainly repositioning of the stage and some other amenities, added features to the park. And you can go to the next one. And this is sort of the bird's eye view that really gives you a picture of what an expanded, improved Stumptown Park will look like. You can leave it there. So now the recent improvements to the Veterans Memorial area was a great project. This partnership certainly was a win for the park and a win for the entire community. Staff does believe that there certainly should be some additional signage, improved identification for the Veterans Memorial within the park. but staff does believe the park name should remain as Stumptown. We do believe that adding Veterans Memorial to Stumptown Park, doesn't really do the justice, in terms of recognizing veterans in the way that it should. I do believe facility names, they mean something. And part of that value is the actual name recognition, actually verbalizing the words. So in the case of Stumptown, there is a strong regional brand, 30 plus years of activities going on. And personally, I do expect the park to continue to be referred to, as Stumptown Park. I do almost see the combination as a dilution of both efforts to recognize the history, but then again, also recognize the veterans. Almost trying to, like I said, it's a dilution of both efforts. Also keep in mind that recognition of veterans is not simply limited to this one space. There are forms of public art plan, art, murals, and other ways that we plan to celebrate veterans throughout Matthews. And there also is a veteran memorial plan for Purcell Halsey Park. Like I mentioned, there are long-range plans for Stumptown. Hopefully in the next 5, maybe 10 years, Stumptown is going to look a lot different. And then there's that question of, okay, well, does the Veterans Memorial as it sits now, is that the best location for this enhanced, amenity? There are also some concerns that a name change could create an expectation of a change in use for the park. When you think of a Veterans Memorial, a somber, quiet place where visitors reflect and appreciate the sacrifice of those that served, within the Veterans Memorial area right now, that's sort of where they do that. It's on that northern edge of the park, where Stumptown Park as a whole is an event-driven, celebration type downtown park facility. Will there be members of the community that maybe say disappointed, as events and activities continue to grow? I do see the potential for an expectation, by some in terms of what should take place in the park and what should not, that simply, may not be met, given the type of facility that Stumptown Park is, and hopefully will develop even further. So again, staff does believe that the park should certainly recognize that that improvement, the veterans area. But again, I do think that the name of the entire park should remain Stumptown. I do think also that creation of a Veterans Memorial Park as the original designation for an, say, undeveloped, unnamed, unpreviously named space, I think that would be a more effective way to certainly recognize veterans in terms of naming the park, something that's not been referred to as a different name previously. And that's pretty much all I've got.
Okay, Corey, just one thing for the folks that are listening in and going to speak, in case you're not aware, Purcell Halsey Park is the park on Highway 51, almost up by Mint Hill. Just so you're aware of that. Also, Corey, no one's mentioned what the actual request to change the name to is. What is the request for the official new name?
The petition name is Stumptown Veterans Memorial Park. No hyphenation, no slash, just those 4 words.
All right, and as I understand it, and once again, this is for the benefit of the folks that are going to be speaking in a bit, our committee appears to have 3 options. 1 is to change the name of the park in accordance with the petition. 2 is not to change it at all. And if that happens, there's also a possibility of some sub-designation of Stumptown Park related to the Veterans Memorial. Just so you're aware, those are the 3 possible paths we have. If that helps you in your comments in a little bit, I just thought, that's correct, isn't it, Corey?
Yes. I mean, I will add, the area that we're describing, it is currently designated as the Veterans Memorial area. So we would certainly, or I guess an option would be, say, a more improved presence of recognition, delineation of that space within the park, I guess would be that option.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Laura, at this point, if you'd let Mark Tofano in, I'd appreciate it. Mark Tofano, the head of the Hooks Oar, is the person who filed the petition, and we're going to give him a chance to speak first. We'll give him up to 10 minutes if he needs it, although he's assured me he won't. But Mark, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours. You're muted, Mark.
Thank you. Can you hear me fine now? Very nice. Well, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name again is Mark Tofano, and I reside at 259 South Trade Street in Matthews, North Carolina. And I'm speaking tonight in support of adding the two words Veterans Memorial to the name of Stumptown Park. Thanks to the foundations laid by the Rotary Club nearly 30 years ago and the magnificent restoration led by town volunteers and donors, veterans now have a place of dignity to which they can be remembered and honored. The naming of a public facility to honor veterans is long overdue in Matthews. There is not a more deserving place for this to happen than in the heart of the town of Matthews. Matthews claims to be a veteran-friendly town, a Purple Heart town. I think it's time to show that these are more than just words. In some of the time that I have left, I'd like to address some of the comments that I've heard with concerns about adding the words Veterans Memorial. The first concern is that renaming the park Stumptown Veterans Memorial Park would somehow change its purpose. And this is not the intent at all. In no way will the purpose or use of the park change. The name of the park has no bearing on its function. The second concern is that the Parks and Recreation Department has plans for a Veterans Memorial in another park, specifically Purser-Halsey Park. If you go to the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which is currently on the town website, the word veteran is only referred to once in the entire document, and that's under the section for Stumptown Park. There's no discernible plans for a Veterans Memorial in any other park. No funding has been allocated, no approved architectural drawings, absolutely nothing. The next concern is that volunteers cannot do work on a public facility and then ask for the facility to be named after them. And this is not the case here at all. We're asking the park to include the words Veterans Memorial. We're not asking the park to be named after the numerous volunteers and organizations and businesses that have donated their time and material to the project. They devoted their time and energy purely out of the love for veterans and for no personal or business gain at all. Finally, there's some concerns about the word veteran violating the historical aspect of the name Stumptown Park. Yes, Stumptown Park has historical value and we should be proud of it. But veterans were dying for this country over 100 years before the word Stumptown Park ever passed a human's lips. It doesn't get more historical than that. So I'm asking everyone that's listening to open up your hearts and your minds and support adding just two words to the name of Stumptown Park. It would mean so much to so many. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tofano. Lori, we have our first person signed up on the public list.
Yes, one moment, please.
Thank you.
What I would ask, we do have some folks who don't appear to be present, who did sign up to speak. If any of you are attending but didn't use the first and last name that you used to sign up, please go ahead and change the Zoom name. You can change that by hovering over the name and renaming yourself, and that way we'll recognize you when it's your time to speak. I do not see Travis Henry on the list, so the next person would be Zachary Thompson, which I believe may be here under an unusual name. I'm going to see if that changes.
If not, if either of them shows up subsequently, we can slot them back in.
We certainly can. Paula Lester is here. We'll have her speak next.
All right, thank you. Go. Put Miss Lester on, and she can go ahead when the clock starts.
Yep. Let's make sure that she is unmuted and has her video on. Paula, can you turn your video on and unmute yourself?
The video. There's the video. There we are.
Now go to full screen.
Go to full screen. Oops. Where's full screen?
They just put you on.
You're on.
Oh, am I on? Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
We
Are you ready?
Yes, the Zoom meetings are always a challenge. We need to be doing them a lot more often. We don't do them. I don't do them enough. And when I start again, I think I have to start at square one again. Well, I'm Paula Lester, 1335 Seamus Drive, Matthews 28105. I've been active in the Matthews community and an advocate for Matthews history for more than 25 years. There's been much discussion surrounding the idea of changing the name of Stumptown Park. The proposed name is Stumptown Veterans Memorial Park. I decided to look up the definition of a memorial park. Merriam-Webster defines it as a noun meaning cemetery. Another definition I found for memorial park is referring to a public park dedicated in memorial to an event or a cemetery. Another definition, let me see. Hold on 1 minute. Another definition is a park designed for meditation, commemorating the death of an individual or of many people through a natural or other disaster or through military action. Inserting two little words between Stumptown and park does change the meaning. Those words inserted transforms it from a fun-filled event and celebration park to a more subdued and somber area. Matthews Stumptown Park is a joyful and entertaining downtown park that hosts many family events, concerts, movies, and much more. It certainly does not meet the definition of a memorial park. Veterans have our highest respect and thanks and are dear in the hearts of us all. My dad was a captain in World War II. My husband served in the Army too. Many families have had members that served or made the ultimate sacrifice. We thank all of them for their service. Naming the Veterans area in Stumptown Park has merit and should be explored. It may need a formal divider to help define the memorial area. This area is certainly not about volunteer or organization names on plaques. Renaming Stumptown Park will not add substance or importance to the Veterans Memorial located there. However, it will extinguish a part of Matthews history. Stumptown Park is a tribute to the settlers and families who came here to build homes, plant crops, and raise their families. These early settlers are the roots of our history that grew and became Matthews. Renaming Stumptown Park is not justified and worthy of diminishing a part of Matthews history. I'm asking you to vote against changing Stumptown Park's name. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lester.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
Okay, 1 moment.
You want to trade seats with me?
I could.
Okay. I'll trade.
All right, our next speaker will be Constance Saris. I'll bring her over. Nope. It appears Miss Saris has dropped out. Our next speaker then will be Diane Adams. Ms. Adams, can you turn your video and microphone on, please?
Do you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am, we sure do.
Okay. I'm going to read my remarks because I have to go quickly. My name is Diane Adams, and I appreciate the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you about the proposed renaming of Stumptown Park. My remarks come from 4 roles that have shaped my view of this issue. Number 1, lifelong resident of Matthews, I know and I appreciate the town's foresight in creating a special place for families to share common experiences and to build lifelong memories. As a mother, I experienced the park with my children, who thought that all important worldly events took place on this piece of property. And as a school administrator, I was involved in a number of naming and renaming significant gathering places on campuses and dealing with mascot issues, trying always to focus on the purpose of the name and the uses of the facility. I speak as the daughter and niece, number 4, of 3 brothers who eagerly joined the branches of military to serve their country in World War II, and heard lots of those stories. In decision-making, we all know the importance of compromise and consensus as we seek to understand and while we seek to understand others. And this premise is the basis of my following remarks. First, Stumptown is a beloved family park, one of the most special places that the town designed for family fun, children play, outdoor concepts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, while at the same time bearing the name that gives a strong nod to our early history. It's a short, catchy name that even small children remember, and it reflects the town's commitment to providing joyous places for citizens of all ages to enjoy, generation after generation. The name in part is part of our brand, and the park is part of our purpose to provide a place for us to gather and play as neighbors. Second, as a family member of veterans, I applaud the tireless efforts of the Matthews VFW chapter to build a memorial for the quality recognition our veterans deserve. The very term Memorial Park means a place to remember some event, some place, or some persons who are significant to all we are as a people. It's a solemn place, a respectful place, a reflective place. Its purpose in this case is to honor both the living and the dead who have served our country. Both types of public spaces are needed in a community, a park for play and spaces for remembering. But I do not believe the purposes and therefore the uses of the spaces are the same. So I would suggest that the name Stumptown Park stand as it is currently, a name, a brand that has served us well over the years, but that we continue to make sure that we provide the respectful setting where our veterans are remembered for their service and their sacrifices. Both purposes are noble, but they are not the same, and the spaces and their use of the space should reflect that difference. Thank you so much for the opportunity to let citizens share their views, and this is what good government is all about. And now I can take a breath.
Thank you, Ms. Adams.
Okay, one moment, please. Our next speaker will be Larry Lester. Larry, can you turn the video camera and microphone on, please? Larry, can you turn your video camera and microphone on?
Got it.
There we go.
There we go.
Can you turn your video camera on, please?
Is it not on?
No, sir.
Can you see now?
No, you'll be okay though. We can hear you if you don't want to mess with your camera.
All right. The green light's on. I don't know what that means. Anyway, I have a statement here I'd like to read.
Go ahead. Larry, you can start anytime.
Okay, here we go. My name is Larry Lester, 1335 Seabest Drive, Matthews 28105. I moved to Matthews in 1994. I'm a past member of the Matthews Transportation Advisory Committee. I was in the U.S. Army during 1971, 72, and 73. I have the highest respect for military veterans and their service to the United States of America. Social media enables people from all walks of life to communicate with millions of people at the push of a button. There is little oversight of what is said and minimal repercussions, even when slander and lies are written or spoken, because the First Amendment of the Constitution protects freedom of speech. A vast array of outcomes, results, opinions, and actions are derived from the use of the internet and social media. Since January 6th, the headlines of social media and front pages of America's best newspapers have all been consumed with the same leading story: how social media was used to organize an assault on the U.S. Capitol. So how do these words connect to changing the name of Stumptown Park? The use of social media to steer the outcome of the park's name. Is a social media campaign underway to bend the will of town council? They will have to be the judge. It is noteworthy that citizens of Matthews who want to know what's going on only need to visit www.matthewsnc.gov. The same cell phone, tablet, or computer that connects them to social media sites also connects them to Matthews' website. On matthews.gov, they can read the unbiased accounting of issues confronting Matthews' leaders and its residents and not be steered by a social media campaign. I wonder what is really going on. I've seen a website, ads in local newspapers, and flyers showing up in mailboxes. Let your opinion be heard. Contact Matthews Board of Commissioners and the mayor. As a veteran, I am not in favor of changing the name of Stumptown Park. I am in favor of honoring veterans with a memorial now located in Stumptown Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lester.
Okay, one moment, please.
We have nobody else left because we had Mr. Henry, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Saris, Mr. Balcom, Mr. Cantley, and Mr. Vincent all sign up.
Give me one moment. I just want to make sure we haven't missed anyone.
Okay, thanks.
Miss Saris is here, and I believe Zachary Thompson is here as well. One moment, please. Miss
Okay, thank
Saris
you.
will be next. All right, Constance, can you unmute yourself and turn your video on, please?
So yes.
There we go.
Hear me?
Give us one moment to turn the timer on, and when the timer starts, you can begin. Okay, go ahead.
So yes, I lost my Wi-Fi earlier and got kicked out. But anyway, good afternoon. My name is Connie Saris, and I've lived within walking distance of Stumptown Park for 25 years at 716 Meadow Lake Drive. Earlier in the meeting, Corey King talked about the history of Matthews, and Stumptown Park was named to honor this history. It is the people's park. It is a place for families and for fun, with Matthews Alive being anchored in the park, along with Beach Fest, Earth Day celebrations, Positively Matthews, Memorial and Veterans Day remembrances, Easter egg hunts, food truck Fridays, movies and concerts in the park, special displays, dance recitals, exercise classes, volleyball, walking laps, picnicking, and the list goes on and on. I personally have visited the park to stay in touch with my coffee group, where we were able to spread out safely outdoors on the stage during the pandemic. I've seen other groups do the same. It is our central park. The Veterans Memorial was added to the park by the Rotary Club in Matthews many years ago. The American Legion added to that memorial park last year. The area is beautiful and solemn. However, it would not be right to rename the park that honors the history of Matthews just because the memorial was placed there and improved. The Veterans Memorial section is for respect, reflection, and remembrance. The entire park as a whole is for people for fun and enjoyment. As my daughter said when I read her my speech, with the name of Stumptown Veterans Memorial Park, it would be like stomping and dancing and playing on a grave. That's just not right. Don't get me wrong, I respect and am so grateful to all of our veterans. I have family members who are veterans, but we should not change our history to rename an entire park or a very small section within the park. I would propose that section be named the Veterans Memorial at Stumptown Park. So it gets an official name, just like the Lee Myers stage at Stumptown Park has its official name. But we, the people, retain our history by keeping the name of Stumptown Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Saris. Lori, I still have 5 speakers that were signed up that haven't, I don't know if they're in there or whether they have even shown up. Mr. Henry, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Balcom, Mr. Cantley, and Mr. Vinson. Have any of them even been in on this or not to your knowledge?
Lori, do you know? I mean, I'm assuming they're not in. I don't know if Lori's frozen.
Yeah, I don't believe she's not hearing us.
Sorry about that. I froze for a second. I have an individual that I believe is Zachary Thompson. I'll bring him over. I don't believe the rest of them are here.
Is there anybody in queue other than Mr. Thompson who hasn't signed up, or he's the only one right now?
There are folks who did not sign up who are attending, but they did not sign up to speak, or their name isn't listed as one who signed up to speak.
All right, thanks. Let's put Mr. Thompson on, and then we'll figure out how to move after that. Thank you.
Okay. This individual is listed as Thompson. Hi, is this Zachary? You're muted, sir.
Hi, this is Zach Thompson. Can you hear me now?
Excellent. Yes, thank you. Give me just a moment. We're going to put the timer up, and when the timer countdown starts, you can begin.
No problem.
Okay, please go ahead.
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zach Thompson. I'm currently an active duty Army Honor Officer stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia. I'm a 2015 graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point, and during my 5.5 years of service thus far, deployed 3 times the UCOM and PACOM AORs in support of various operations. I've been a Combined Arms Battalion Plans Officer, a tank platoon leader, tank company executive officer, a battalion maintenance officer, and numerous other duties. Therefore, I can speak from a veteran's point of view because I am a veteran. And in the spirit of legality, I want to also disclose that my views don't represent those of the Department of Defense, the United States Army. They're solely my own. This may be a surprise, but I'm opposed to renaming Stumptown Park for a variety of reasons. First is that my grandfather, Ted Kiker, who is also a veteran, practically helped name the park to begin with. No Stumptown Park means no Stumptown Festival. No Stumptown Festival means no Matthews Alive. We've already turned our backs on the Stumptown history before. Let's not do that again. The second reason, and this is the more interesting reason I'm against it, is because veterans who support this name change, I think, dishonor the fundamental values of our military. From day one of basic training, all military branches are taught our respective branches' values. And they have similar values. The Army has loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. The Air Force teaches integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do. And one of those common values is selfless service. And that's putting the needs of the community above your own. But I think that a veteran who proposes this park change name is what I like to call a thank you for my service, or thank me for my service veteran. They have this mentality because these veterans demand respect because they yearn for nothing more than personal glory. I think that, typically they're only the kinds of veterans who have served a few short years in the military, separated, and then regret leaving service. Therefore, they have little to do, so they resort to no other means but ego gratification, such as renaming a park or going to Applebee's on Veterans Day for free entree. There's nothing wrong with being proud of your service, but that service is to the nation. A veteran's service does not stand in splendid isolation above the masses. The firefighter, the policeman, the teacher, the doctor, they all serve in various regards. In fact, I would argue that there are some members of the Matthews Police Force and Matthews Fire Department who have risked their lives more than veterans, especially some of the veterans of American Legion Post 235. To be a good servant, it requires humility, and renaming a park does not shout humility. What I'm most ashamed about is some of these individuals who support the park name are former officers or non-commissioned officers. And to those people, I say it's your duty to stamp out that kind of behavior in the community, not encourage it. I'm disappointed in the way individuals have cut corners to bring up this matter. As a veteran and former servant of the nation, you should honor the democratic processes put in place to discuss community issues. But anyways, to the veterans who still support the name change, despite what you've heard from me tonight, I suggest you move to Mint Hill and rename a park there. For the civilians who want a name change, I appreciate the effort to bridge the civil military gap, but I think it's misguided. Renaming a park, in my opinion, it does nothing. It's putting a lipstick on a pig. If you want to do more for veterans, send a care package, hire a veteran-owned business, donate to a Gold Star family. Really, in conclusion, leave Stumptown Park alone. It's not a true help to the veteran community. It does little. It's just a name. It's a gilded concept. And I'll pass the remainder of my time. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson, thank you for your comments and your service. Lori, any of Mr. Henry, Mr. Balcom, Mr. Cantley, or Mr. Vincent, none of them have shown up?
Give me just a moment to check the list, please.
Yeah, do me a favor, check and see if any of them are there, and if not, Corey and I had discussed another step to take at this point.
Okay, it does not look like any of the other folks have shown up.
Okay, because we've had a number of people either sign up twice or not show up, we've got a lot of slots. We're only halfway through the meeting time. We would like to give folks who are listening an opportunity, if they'd like, to sign on and share 4 minutes of their comments if they'd like to do it. We'd ask them the same thing as everybody else. Please identify yourself by name and your residence address if you're going to do that.
Okay, if you would like to speak, please use the raise hand feature, and that'll put a little hand on so I can see that you're interested in speaking. Just in case anyone isn't aware, at least on my version, it's at the bottom of the screen in sort of the middle. It's like a little yellow hand and it says raise hand. Okay, I don't see anyone expressing interest in speaking.
Well, thank you, Lori. At that point, we'll adjourn this meeting. We were coming back at 7 o'clock to run pretty much an identical meeting with some signed up speakers. Even if you didn't sign up to speak, you're welcome to sign on in and listen in. And the meeting should start just about 7 o'clock. Hazen, Corey, Doug, any of you have anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, I just want to again remind everyone that you still have the opportunity to submit your comments via the public comment form through January 30th. It's at matthewsnc.gov/Stumptown. And please share your thoughts if you were not able to tonight.
Corey, your email if they want to send it to you.
Easiest maybe just to go to matthewsnc.gov and look under Parks and Recreation and Corey King. But if anybody does have a pen, it is CKING@matthewsnc.gov. And you can.
Well, thank you, everybody, for participating, and we'll sign back in at 7 o'clock tonight. Thank you all. Have a good dinner, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Good job, Howie.
Hey, Howie,
Yeah,
for the 7 o'clock meeting, it takes me a minute or two to get back and forth between the tasks behind the scenes. So if you wouldn't mind slowing down just a little bit when we're going in between speakers, I have to hop in between a couple different screens to get to where I need to be.
absolutely. I grew up in the Northeast, so I will
Me
give
too,
it my
Fred,
best.
you know that.
I know that's, I'm still having a little trouble with the timing, but if
Okay.
if I mess it up, please feel free just to remind me.
No,
I'm
no,
not
it was just,
embarrassed.
we were going a little bit quick for me. But if you can just slow down just a bit with those transitions, will be great.
Sure, I will, because without you, the whole thing falls apart. Thank you.
All right, thanks. We'll see you. I'll open it up probably 6:45 or so.
Okay, great.
Do you guys need anything else from me? Are we good on everything? Anything need to change?
No, I mean,
No,
I think,
the only thing on the other list is Doug Rose is off the next list and Stephen Wilfong shows up twice. That's the only change.
No problem. Well, Doug is still doing his presentation like he did just now, right? Okay.
Yeah, so he's going to be off the list because he's already done what he's going to do.
Yeah, and one of our other speakers actually dropped off, so we only have 6.
It's ex-mayor night at 7 o'clock.
It is, yeah.
well, also, how, Lori and I talked a little bit, call it about fairness with those that didn't sign up to speak. And
Just so you know, we do have some members of the public are still able to listen to the conversation, so I just wanted to let you know that.
so
Not
I guess debating fairness, do we, I guess allow people to raise their hands? I think in this case, well, at least the 4 o'clock meeting, there was a lot of time left. And I guess we can play the 7 o'clock meeting by ear also.
Well, given we have less speakers for 7 o'clock, so I expect we'll be in the same situation. So yeah, my intention is to allow some folks, if they haven't, if time allows, to make comments. I don't want to take anybody out of the ability to comment if there's time available.
Okay. All right. Sounds like a plan.